Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a review of a Serge Lutens fragrance. This one I had been interested in for a very long time, and mainly because I am a fan of leather fragrances. And I'd read about this one, and it was difficult to try this one because this currently is being sold in the more exclusive Gratte du Ciel line. I'm talking about Cuir Mauresque from Serge Lutens. It was released in the mid-90s. Obviously, Christopher Sheldrake was the composer of this fragrance. Now, I was lucky enough to get a generous decant from a very generous friend of mine, and I'm going to spray some on Cuir Mauresque. I didn't really know what to expect, other than it is one of the better known leather fragrances that gets talked about when we're talking about specifically more kind of animalic leathers. And in the opening, there is definitely I guess the best way to describe it is a splash of brightness. The brightness is coming from some kind of spice, but what happens on my skin with this fragrance almost straight away is it turns into this. The best way I can describe this is that there is a doughy aspect to this scent that happens on my skin, and I'm finding it very difficult to identify specific notes in here, other than to say that predominantly there is a bit of spice, and I mean pungent spice. Nothing, like something that would suggest, a little bit of sweat, skin, and so the leather here is not what in my mind I would normally expect leather to smell of. This is, if anything, it is a very worn, old, burnished leather. There's nothing that smells new about it. It's like what you might expect. I don't know, a leather saddle to maybe smell like after days being ridden on a multi-day trek. Not much hygiene going on, and it doesn't actually smell like a pleasant leather to me. The other thing about this fragrance is that what I wish there was more of is probably a little bit of transparency. It all seems very opaque, and to be honest, doesn't really develop a whole lot on my skin. And it's in a way a little bit of a disappointment, because as you all know, I quite like a lot of Serge Lutens fragrances. I like leather fragrances, but for whatever reason, there is something about this one that just doesn't, that I find just a little bit dull. And I think it's because it's essentially a little bit of a monolith. It's also not the type. It's also a type of leather accord that I don't find desirable to wear on my skin, or even to smell. Now, I do like various leather fragrances that have some animalic funkiness like this one does, but I find what I like about those ones is that they're a little bit more transparent. They develop a bit more, so you get a few of the aspects, and they keep your interest while they're on your skin. This one kind of doesn't do much. It's a very specific it's a very specific odor, and it's just not something that I really like. The performance, thankfully, this is not on my skin something that is too big, wild, that I need to scrub off. I'm kind of glad that, over the course of the day when I've tested this, it's just sort of faded away into the distance, and I don't hate this fragrance. I just don't find it pleasant to wear. Only in that I wish it did more. So I'll give you an example. There is a Francesca Bianchi fragrance, The Lover's Tale, which has a few similarities to Cuir Mauresque in parts, but when I wear that fragrance, that kind of really develops and progresses during the wear in a way that I quite enjoy, and I'm almost at times apprehensive of, because it keeps me interested and also not not knowing what to expect when I wear it every time. Whereas this one here, whenever I've worn it, I always feel that little bit more disappointed that I'm expecting something from Cuir Mauresque that doesn't actually deliver. Now, all of this talk, I'm not really describing a lot what I'm smelling, but other than to say there is quite a bit of dirty human / animalic in here. The pungency from the spices. There is something sweaty in here. The leather, as I said, is more of a doughy texture. Like it's old, worn in, but wet leather is a good way to describe it. And that's really it. There's nothing here to, it just feels a little bit unbalanced and not something I particularly enjoy wearing. So unfortunately for me, this particular Serge Lutens is not something that I would recommend. If it sounds like the type of leather you're into, then sure, sample it. But there are so many better ones, I think. And I honestly kind of really don't understand this one's standing when it comes to well-known leather fragrances in perfume circles. So look, that's my review. I don't really have much to add to it because I'm generally disappointed. But if you've got any thoughts on this perfume, let me know in the comments. That's it from me. I'll see you all later. Bye.